Hey everyone, Andy Raffel from eTeknix.com, and today we're going to be looking at a CyberPower system. And just for your information, you may want to stick around until the end. I'm not saying there's going to be a giveaway, but there's going to be a giveaway. Let's do this. So CyberPower reached out to us, and we haven't actually worked with them in quite some time, and they basically said that they wanted to send us a system. So the system they sent us is all AMD, and I will go through all of the specs as we get to it. I kind of wanted to, I guess, go through the performance of it, but more so go through why you should buy a pre-built system and why you should buy it from that particular retailer. So this is called the Ultra 5 RX Pro. You know, you're looking along the lines of maybe an RX graphics card, Ultra 5, maybe thinking Ryzen 5, so you can kind of guess a lot just from the name. So straight away we have a kettle lead to obviously plug it in, and we also get a quick start guide, which is CyberPowerPC branded. You know, it's just a nice little added touch. So it actually tells you how to remove the foam packaging from inside, how to connect your display, how to connect your peripherals, setting up internet, powering on, and then there's a few frequently asked questions, as well as how to contact them. So it's not just they're selling you a system and then that's it, see you later, wash their hands with you and they're done. They're actually keen to sort of support you as I guess your journey with buying a system from them goes on, which I really, really like. In here we get a nice little CyberPowerPC branded accessory bag, and within there we find some of our kind of manuals. So quick installation guide for MSI. We get some more MSI stuff, case badge sticker. So I'm guessing there's some MSI products in here. We get a remote control for controlling the RGB elements. We also get a fan frame. So that's an interesting one. Not quite sure why, but I'm sure we're going to find out as we look into the system. Also, if you ever wanted to upgrade, they give you all of the different mounting mechanisms for Intel, because as I mentioned, it has got AMD inside. You do get some extra power supply modular cables, just in case you want to kind of, I guess, update your graphics card at a later date to something else. The typical kind of retention brackets for AMD, because the cooler itself is obviously going to be a specialist kind of bracket. Now, also inside, we get another bag which is full of fans. So I'm guessing, obviously it is a Corsair chassis inside, it's the Spec Delta RGB, but they've actually taken out some of the kind of conventional fans and replaced them with more RGB fans. But it's nice that they've given you that. I guess a lot of system integrators out there, what they'd actually do is kind of pocket them for themselves and use it in other builds, and I guess profiteer from what you've bought, which I kind of like the fact that CyberPower haven't done that, and they've thought more about the consumer than themselves. Now, if I actually turn this to the camera, you can see the box itself, which is the chassis box, is inside kind of this bigger box, and then there's foam packaging around it. So far, kudos on the kind of packaging material, but trying to get it out of this big box is never going to be easy. So lots of foam packaging, which is really, really good, because when this actually arrived with me, I did see the wonderful DPD driver. I'm not going to say purposely dropped it, but he did drop it from a little bit of a height, probably about just under a foot. With couriers, you never really know. So let's open it up and see exactly what we've got inside, and then we can talk more about kind of the specs of the system, and then obviously look through benchmarks and exactly how it performs. Again, we're looking at a slightly branded CyberPower kind of bag that it comes in. So as I mentioned at the start of this, I want to talk more about why you should buy a particular system from CyberPower as opposed to, I guess, you know, a completely different manufacturer, or kind of what they do different as to what you get as a consumer. So far, so good, because obviously we have seen the different kind of packaging material, we have seen the accessories that you get with it, and the fact that they've actually given you, you know, the fans and everything that come with the chassis. So this is, as I mentioned, a Corsair chassis. You can see that they have kind of, I don't want to say modded because it's not really modded, but they have added the CyberPower case badge sticker on there. I'm not sure how easy that's going to be to peel off if you don't want it, but you know, entirely up to you. Now inside you will see that there is various different packaging materials. So sometimes you will find that with, I guess, certain system integrators and I guess the spec of the system, they will use expanding foam. On this, they've decided to just go for these kind of air pockets. So let's drill down and talk about the specs. So to start with, the case is the Corsair Spec Delta. As I mentioned, it has got the CyberPower badge on the front of it. Speaking of CyberPower, it has got 6 CyberPower A RGB fans with the included remote control. CPU-wise, we're looking at the AMD Ryzen 5 3600, and it's all cooled by the Corsair H45 AIO. Motherboard wise, it's the MSI B450A Pro motherboard. So obviously with a simple BIOS update, this gives us the ability to accept that Ryzen 5 3600. Memory wise, we have two 8GB sticks of Kingston HyperX Fury 3200 MHz memory. And graphics card, as the name of the system suggests, it's the AMD Radeon RX 5700 XT from MSI. SSD, we have the 512GB ADATA XPG SX8200 M.2 NVMe drive. Now this is probably the best performing NVMe drive based on value for money kind of perspective you can currently buy on the market. For storing all of the games, you've got a 2TB Seagate Barracuda. Now to power the whole system, we have the Corsair Vengeance 650M 650W 80+ silver PSU. And it does come with Windows 10 Home Edition pre-installed. So talking about the cable management, as we can see, everything does look pretty clean and tidy. They've put the AIO up here, so we've got kind of, you know, this nice loop for the tubing. We've got our CyberPower kind of branded fans on there, but the cable management, there isn't really too much going on, which is quite nice. As we can see with the power supply cables, they are slightly braided, I guess, because of the Corsair Vengeance 650M PSU, and it just kind of looks clean and tidy. When we're looking at the front panel connectors, everything is kind of positioned where you'd expect it to be, which means that everything's hidden quite nice. USB 3 is always, I guess, a bit of a tough one, but it does look very, very clean indeed. Obviously the motherboard is brown, which I wouldn't have sort of gone as my first personal choice. I would have maybe gone for something a little bit better, but there's nothing stopping you speccing up your own system on the CyberPower website and maybe tinkering around a little bit, and obviously that's going to cost you a little bit more money. Now there is some magnetic LED strips on here as well, so we're just going to kind of position that where it needs to go. But if we turn it on, we can see it's pretty much a huge light show and looks absolutely amazing. So I'm not actually sure who makes the fans, but they are branded as CyberPowerPC, and I'm sure they are set up by the looks of it to go through various different cycles, and obviously the LED strip is going to go with that as well. So it does look very, very nice. They've even swapped out, as I mentioned, the fan on the AIO. So instead of going with the typical Corsair one, they've gone with that. They could have maybe gone with Corsair fans as well, some of the LL series or the ML series, but these seem to actually look really, really nice, and they do go through various lighting patterns. Now, obviously to control these, you do have the remote control. Then we can change all of the lighting to our own kind of personal needs. So we've got red, green, blue, yellow. Now, the one I always wonder about is white, but it is pretty close to white. So I'm quite surprised by that, because a lot of white sort of fans generally come out, I guess, a little bit bluish or a little bit purplish. We've seen that before with the likes of Cooler Master and some of the other brands out there, but this is pretty damn close to white. Now you have got auto, which is kind of what it's on straight out of the box, and that will give you kind of this light show. And if I show you the LED strip, which staring at is extremely, extremely bright, and we will get some B-roll shots of it, you'll see that everything does look very, very kind of uniformed, I guess. Maybe it would have been nice to see an AIO with kind of some RGB on here, but again, there's nothing stopping you actually going onto the CyberPower website, kind of finding this system and just speccing up a few things slightly differently, just to kind of fulfill your needs. You could go for some memory that has RGB on there. Now, when it comes to the price, £1,259 for this system, we are going to show you some performance results as well, so you can see if it's kind of worth it. Now, one thing that I always like to do with system integrators is actually look at what it would cost for you to build this yourself, and I guess how much CyberPower are charging you for, I guess, the benefit of them building it for you, giving you a warranty, as opposed to you building it yourself and having the strain of doing that. Especially if you're a first-time builder or a novice, you may not know exactly what you're doing. This is kind of taken care of all by them. Now, actually looking at it, it came out £43 cheaper to build it yourself than what CyberPower do here, but that is minus the LED strip and minus the fans. If you're going to put 6 fans into this that are kind of custom, because obviously it does come with fans in the front on this chassis as standard, but mixing that out and putting these in, you're going to pay a lot more than £43 for 6 kind of decent quality fans. And by the looks of it, they're pushing through quite a lot of air. Taking the dust filter off the top, I can feel quite a lot of air being pushed through here, and it's not overly loud. I mean, I'll try and get close with the mic, but it's not overly loud. And obviously this could be controlled in the BIOS and things like that, so you do have the flexibility to do that. So I'm actually gonna kind of say that to build this system with the included fans is going to cost you more than what CyberPower have actually done here themselves. And there's other things that you get. Literally, the page is ridiculously long. You can go through and you can change every single component, the memory, the CPU, the cooler, the motherboard, the graphics card, everything can be changed. Now, it is worth also noting that the graphics card isn't just your bog standard 5700 XT, as I was led to believe when I got the specs sent over. Instead, it is the MSI 5700 XT Mech OC. So it has got a slight overclock on there with the twin fan design as well. Now, looking at their website at the very, very bottom, because I like to talk about warranty and things like that, because I do believe if you're buying a pre-built system, warranty is a big part of it. You're going to get the standard warranty with this. You can obviously upgrade that to a silver warranty, gold warranty, platinum, or on-site warranty, but just with the standard warranty, you get 3 years labor, pretty damn impressive there straight away, 2 year on the parts. So even some of these parts are only actually going to have a 1 year warranty with, I guess, the retailer or with the manufacturer. So you're getting 2 year parts and a 6 month collect and return plus lifetime technical support. That to me has got to be worth at least £100 just on its own. So straight away, this system is offering amazing value for money, and I know how they're actually able to do it. So CyberPower have such good connections with the brands that they're able to, say, buy, I don't know, 10,000 of these particular motherboards. So they actually get it cheaper than what they conventionally would as a retailer, and then they can pass that cost on to the consumer. But value for money isn't just about the aesthetics, isn't just about sort of, you know, what they're able to do. But one thing I do want to show you, if I turn this off, we're going to have a look at the cable management on the other side. And then we can talk about, I guess, the other value for money aspect, which is all going to come down to performance. So moment of truth, let's take this side panel off and see exactly what they've done cable management wise. So looking at it, it actually looks pretty damn tidy considering. Obviously the power supply is semi-modular, so you do get the flexibility to, you know, not have unnecessary cables in there, but they have used zip ties pretty much anywhere and everywhere that they can to try and keep this down, because there isn't a huge amount of room between the side panel and obviously sort of the motherboard tray and everything. We can see the fan controller here as well, which is controlling the RGB elements of the fans, and you can see that there is room for extra storage at the back as well. So pretty damn impressed with this. Now, the only other thing that we have to look at, and this is really going to be sort of the make or break, because at the moment, this is seeming like one of the best kind of systems we've had in a long time from a system integrator, purely from a value perspective. You get the flashy aesthetics, you do get the nice cable management, and it is technically cheaper to buy this than to build this system yourself. So how does it perform? Let's take a look at them glorious, glorious benchmarks. So there we have it, performance results in the bag, and I guess everything kind kind of performed pretty much where we expected it to, especially with the Ryzen 5 3600 and the 5700 XT, which is obviously going to give us much better thermals over a kind of bog standard reference 5700 XT. But I wanted to make this video and not really talk too much about the individual components, but I will say that you can see CyberPower haven't skimped out on the brands that they're working with. They've chosen an MSI motherboard, they've chosen a Corsair case and a Corsair cooler. They've chosen the ADATA NVMe SX8200 Pro drive. They've chosen an MSI graphics card. So they've kind of gone with a little bit of an ecosystem, sticking with the brands, and then Kingston memory, or HyperX if you want to call them that. So they haven't gone for any sort of, you know, cheap no-name brands or anything like that. They have really sort of put a lot of thought into the spec of this system, and the fact that the value for money aspect just completely exceeds anyone's expectations if they were going to go down the DIY market and build this themselves. I can't really say anything bad about it. The only thing I guess bad about it is the acrylic on the front. I'm not a massive fan of acrylic chassis, but that's my own personal preference, and as I did mention earlier, you can quite easily go onto the product page for this particular system and just change the case out for something that is more appeasing to you. Now, I did also mention at the start of this video we are going to be giving away this whole system. So to find out how to win, enter and all that jazz, check out the description below. If you're watching this on eTeknix.com, you're probably on the right page anyway, but if not, look out for the link of exactly how to win this amazing system. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, you know exactly what to do, and I will see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye-bye. Red, green, blue, yellow, other yellow, other yellow, orange, blue, purple. I like white. Let's go with white. Generally looks quite nice, even down to the power supply cables, the fact that they have used. Yeah, right.